messed up whenever I do a live stream, thanks to like a new patch or something. So, you know, what do? I get the clips out because those are what are seen the most, but I also need to do a live stream as well. So, fucking great. Yeah. No. I do not think we'll be able to do this. Hold on. Wait a minute. I think we got it this time. Okay. So yeah, we're having all sorts of problems with technology today, which is why I am on a cell phone instead of my normal stream, because the clips were all messed up. So you want to see if you want to see the full show, if you want to see the what the show is actually supposed to look like, we'll have that up later. We'll have the clips up later. But my main problem has been for the last couple of days, not being able to get the video clips out. And so that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And obviously, I'm having a hard time of it. So technology, man, it sucks. But that's weird. You know what? We're going to push ahead. We're going to see, do the best that we can. If the stream goes out a couple of times, I'm sorry. There's really not a whole lot I can do about this. I am both limited technologically and, of course, monetarily. And not only that, but we do have some issues with the streaming software that I normally use, and I have not had time to set up a new, thing for streaming. So, apologies, but we're gonna work on it. We're gonna do the best that we can. Okay. So, just kind of stay with me. So, this first story that I want to get into is Jamie Lee Curtis. So you got a great show, guys. Regardless of the issues, Jamie Lee Curtis is a fun story. I think you'll enjoy that. We also have Eric Holder. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Not tomorrow, sorry. We'll talk about that today. We also have Donald Trump not being as prominently featured on Fox News anymore. Fun. We have that. We've got Georgia voter purges. We've got Brett Kavanaugh and Bernie Sanders. So we got a full show for you guys today. So we're gonna do our best. We're gonna have a good show, and that's all you can do, right? All right. So let's get to the first segment here. Okay. So kind of moving around here for the camera's sake. All right. So Fox News is now going after Hollywood actors for using guns in their movies, even if these actors are in favor of some sort of gun control. Now, in an article written yesterday on Fox News' website, apparently aimed at pointing out so-called liberal hypocrisy on guns, it is now getting shredded on social media. Now, first, from the article, they said Curtis's on-screen actions stand in contrast to her real-life persona as an advocate for gun control, one of several Hollywood actors who use firearms in their films while preaching against them away from the set. In light of several high-profile mass shootings, Curtis has voiced her support for gun reform legislation, but she also appeared in such films as True Lies, Virus, Halloween 2, and Blue Steel, where she uses guns multiple times. Oh my God, how dare you be an actor and do acting? That's great. They also point out that a poster for Blue Steel from 1990 features her holding a handgun. Oh my God. No, how dare you? How dare you be an actor? The hypocrisy, liberal hypocrisy. Do they not understand that guns are props and are actually, when they're used in a movie, not real? They're not real guns? Apparently not. Apparently they missed the fucking memo. Now there's more. The conundrum, and this is a completely serious article. Somebody in Fox News thought, hey, you know what would be a great idea? Write this crap article. They said the conundrum applies to other Hollywood A-listers like George Clooney. Oh my God. Matt Damon, Don Cheadle, Julianne Moore, Sally Field, and Jim Carrey, who have all made their living portraying gun-toting characters while calling for stricter gun reform. I don't know about the rest of them, but Jim Carrey? I think there was like one movie or a couple movies maybe where he might have had a gun. I think after the movie Kick-Ass came out, he was like, I'm so sorry. I literally, like, I used a gun in that movie, and I didn't like portraying that. And so he came out later and said, we need gun control. Okay. So that's Jim Carrey. The rest, again, I'm not entirely sure. But the whole point here is that this is monumentally stupid. Fox News thinks, oh, no, we nailed it. Well, the internet disagreed, and of course they come in doing what they always do best, going after Fox News and their rank stupidity. Now, rogue White House senior advisor on Twitter tweets, do you guys know what movies are? Replying, of course, to Fox News. Hannah's House of Horror says, Fox News doesn't understand acting. LOL. Alt NSA says, hey, Fox, do you not realize the difference between fantasy/fiction and reality? My guess is no. Matt says, this is the stupidest tweet I've seen in ages. Lucifer Goes to Hollywood says, it's a movie and fictional, you actual idiots. Talk about a pointless article. Now, that's just fun, but then they start to point out other actors whose on-screen actions could be considered possibly controversial. Julian S. Pumpkin says, and I love these Twitter names, especially when they change them around for like the holidays and stuff. That's an aside. Don't worry, the actor who plays Michael Myers in this loves to murder in real life. So it all balances out. John Rain says, guys, I have another scoop for you. Robert Englund murdered loads of kids during the 1980s, despite being a nice guy. Chris Sutcliffe says, wait till they hear about how anti-eating humans Anthony Hopkins actually is. And this is probably one of my favorites. Chris Sutcliffe says, Funny Seagulls says, breaking news, Josh Brolin kills half universe despite advocating for life. What a hypocrite. Awesome. And Rob Hunter, the devastating tweet towards the president. And Donald Trump plays a pleasant millionaire in Home Alone 2, despite being an asshole without a shred of business sense. And Darren J says, Daniel Radcliffe, not a wizard, despite wielding wand in Harry Potter movie, breaking from Fox News. And finally, this actually probably is my favorite because it's the best one. Fox News doesn't understand the difference between fiction and reality because to them, the fiction they create is their reality. That tweet is devastating. I love it. These are all awesome. Nonetheless, there's one Republican politician who is dumb enough to jump into this anyway, knowing how stupid this premise actually is, and that, of course, would be one Ted Cruz. He said, Hollywood liberals on gun control is akin to Hollywood liberals on global warming, which is they fly their private jets to a conference, step out and say, global warming is terrible, let's take away everything from the working men and women. That's not what they say. And then they get back on their private jet and fly back. Same thing on gun control. If you have a bevy of armed security officers protecting you, maybe you shouldn't be trying to strip Second Amendment rights from law-abiding citizens. Those things have nothing to do with each other. So wait, so of course the implication is, well, if you're in favor of doing something about the climate, then you have to give up every single technology that, is derived from oil or fossil fuels. That would essentially mean you would have to go back to being in the Stone Age. When we have an economy that is basically structured around the use of fossil fuels. And so if you want to participate in the modern economy, in modern life, you have to use fossil fuel derived products or fossil fuels themselves. There's very, very few ways around that. And a lot of them are inaccessible to regular people. But they don't talk about that, right? And Ted Cruz is like, gotcha. Nailed it. Oh, if you care about the climate, then you shouldn't be able to drive a car or get in a plane. Checkmate, libs. Take that, libtards. Take that. Oh boy. This is dumb. This is deeply stupid. But of course, what do you expect from Fox News, right? And from Ted Cruz himself. Now, here's the thing. You know what? I'm going to demand now that President Trump, and look, Donald Trump's pro-gun, right? And so is Ted Cruz. Okay. Well, here's the trade-off. You get rid of your private security, you get rid of the Secret Service, and we just give you a pistol. And then, not only do we give you a pistol, because we're going to be consistent here, we're going to give everybody guns. I mean, look, all the senators, all the other senators, on the other side, Democratic senators, you guys get guns too. Republican senators, congressmen, the president. Then we'll expand it at mentally ill people, Muslims, black people, gay people, toddlers, guns for everybody. I mean, look, if you believe that, the Second Amendment is sacrosanct, you can't do anything about it, right? Well, then, guns for everybody, guns for everybody. Now, and then, of course, take away your security, because why do you need security when you've got a gun? I'm just saying. There's your position. Now, some of you might, hold on, Jeff. That sounds a little crazy. Okay, look, I'm a Second Amendment guy, but you realize these congressmen, they also need protection too. No, you want to be consistent? Well, there's your consistency. Unless you are admitting that maybe there's some, there are crazy people with guns and these congressmen and these movie stars. And all that do need extra protection that regular people don't necessarily need because we're not in the public eye and don't have as many threats against us. Oh, but that would involve actually being smart and realizing fucking nuance. And unfortunately, that doesn't seem to be something that Ted Cruz or the rest of these right-wingers actually, do. Nuance. So... Okay. Anyway, let's move on. All right. Let's go into this next story here. Eric Holder. Oh boy. Now, Republicans are having a little bit of a meltdown based on recent statements made by Eric Holder. Now, Eric Holder right now is campaigning in Georgia for gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams. And he said something that was so outrageously, like over the pale. I don't think that's the right way to say it, but anyway, beyond the pale. Let me try that again, because I just messed up big time. All right. It's one of those days. So Republicans are having a little bit of a conniption over recent statements made by former Obama Attorney General Eric Holder. Now, Holder, while campaigning for Georgia gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, said something that was so completely beyond the pale when it comes to how Democrats should conduct themselves against Republicans, that the conservatives are melting down. So I'm going to show you this video, and be careful. You might need a little bit of a trigger warning if you're a Republican. Watch.
They have used the power that they have gotten for all the wrong things. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to cater to the special interests. It is time for us as Democrats to be as tough as they are, to be as dedicated as they are, to be as committed as they are. Michelle always says, Michelle Obama, I love her, you know, she and my wife, like, really tight, which always scares me and Barack. But Michelle always says that, you know, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. That's what this new Democratic Party is about. We're proud as hell to be Democrats. We're willing to fight for the ideals of the Democratic Party. We're proud of our history. We're proud of our present. And we're proud of the future that we can create for this country.
All right, so for those of you watching live, you can't see or hear the video because of the setup that we have for today. And that goes all the way back to my technical problems that I've been having in the last few days, so this is temporary. But basically what he said is, you got to kick him. You got to kick him. I mean, no longer are we doing this, Michelle Obama, oh, when we go, you know, when they go low, we go high, right? No, he said, when they go low, we got to kick them. We got to kick them. You know what? Good. He also says they've tried to racially gerrymander. They've tried to partisan gerrymander. They want to keep themselves in power. They want to cater to special interests. And also added, we're in this to win. And the reality is if we don't win, people who are less committed, less idealistic, less imbued with the values that make this nation really great will run the country. And that, of course, is what's happening right now. So now, of course, how does Fox News handle this? About as much as you would expect. About as well as you'd expect. Earlier when they were talking with President Donald Trump on Fox and Friends, Trump said, quote, they have to be careful with the rhetoric because it is very dangerous what Holder says. Holder he's got some problems. I don't see him running for president. If he did run, I think he would get gobbled up before he even gets to the election itself. I think the primaries would gobble him up. So, okay. So, first he goes into, I think it's dangerous, and then immediately goes into spinning for elections. Yeah, okay. Sure. What he says about the primaries, he actually might be correct. Eric Holder has got a lot of problems from a progressive perspective, and so, like me personally, I would not be in favor of an Eric Holder run, right? Because I think when it comes to policy, he is way too centrist. He is way too corporate. He is your establishment politician. He's establishment through and through, right? That said, I love this. I actually agree 100% with what he's saying. And look, as far as, okay, dangerous rhetoric, right? So the Republicans are calling this dangerous, and I'm going to give you another example here from another conservative writer. But before I do that, let me tell you what's dangerous. You want to tell, you are telling people to, I mean, you're saying at rallies, lock her up. Lock her up, lock her up. Those chants are still happening. They've been happening for the last couple of years. So you're going to talk about, oh, such dangerous, divisive rhetoric. Violent. Yes, they even mentioned violent. Well, you want to talk about violent rhetoric. Okay, well, let's go to something, a few things that Donald Trump has said. At a rally on February 1st, 2016, Trump said, if you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously, okay? Just knock the hell. I promise you. I will pay for the legal fees. I promise. I promise. So here you're saying, oh, beat him up. Beat him up. Punch him in the face. Punch him in the face. In fact, at a Las Vegas rally later that month, Trump said security guards were too nice to a protester. He said, quote, he's walking out with big high fives, smiling, laughing. I'd like to punch him in the face. I'll tell you. Well, now wait a minute. What talking about that rhetoric, man? That dangerous rhetoric. Well, that's weird. So somehow kick him in a political sense is dangerous rhetoric. But when it comes to punch him in the face, I'd like to punch him in the face. A protester, and by the way, protesters have been punched in the face at Trump rallies. That's fine. Perfectly fine, perfectly okay. Now, there is another situation that happened at a rally that same month in Warren, Michigan. Another protester who's being escorted out, quote, get him out, try not to hurt him. If you do, I'll defend you in court. Don't worry about it. You want to talk about violent rhetoric, man. You want to talk about actual violence. That's violence. And again, that's not even what Eric Holder is saying. Eric Holder is saying, hey, you know what we should do? We should get tough on Republicans. But the Republicans right now, they are attempting to gaslight us at this very moment. We have Republicans now talking about how scary it is to be a conservative because there are, quote, mobs of angry leftists. Angry mobs. That's what they're talking about. You've got Rand Paul's wife talking about how she sleeps with a gun because she's afraid of the liberals breaking into her house and murdering her. As if, right? But wait a minute. There's two schools of thought here. I thought, according to the conservatives, according to a lot of these Republicans, these alt-righters, Trump supporters, that liberals were nothing more than pussy hat wearing, entitled, weak, buttercup, snowflake beta cucks. Well, if you're scared of something like that, if you're scared as the rest of these Republicans are, well, what does that make you? What does that make you? King cuck? Probably. In reality, the only rhetoric that has caused real harm has been from the right wing, and it has literally killed someone. Remember Heather Heyer. Heather Heyer was murdered at a Charlottesville rally when a member of the alt-right, spurred on by Donald Trump and the rest of these hideous, loathsome right-wingers, was, drove into a crowd full of protesters. Heather Heyer. So, come on. That's the reality of the situation. Nonetheless, they're going to continue to lie about this. Ryan Saavedra of the Daily Wire writes about this, quote, the violent rhetoric from Holder comes at approximately the same time as two-time failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton used similar rhetoric in an interview with CNN. So I'm going to read her statement, and we're going to see if it's similar at all, right? Quote, this is from Hillary. You cannot be civil with a political party that wants to destroy what you stand for, what you care about. That's why I believe if we're fortunate enough to win back the House and the Senate, that's when civility can start again. But until then, the only thing that the Republicans seem to recognize and respect is strength. So is that a call for violence? Is that violent rhetoric? No, that's not even close to being violent rhetoric. I actually agree with Hillary Clinton, of all people, on that. She's right. When she called them deplorables, she was absolutely fucking right. There are people on the right that are deeply terrible people. And look, I'm not saying that everybody on the right is that kind of person. But at this point, if you are still with Donald Trump, and you are still saying things like, oh, fucking kill the libtards, then you are a horrible person. And if you are getting upset over this, and there's two things, right? So there are the, pundits on the right that get paid to put out propaganda, push propaganda. They don't fucking believe this. They don't believe that this is violent. They know what they're doing, they're just making tons of money from doing it. And doing what? Riling you up. You're a conservative, they are riling you up, and they are getting you afraid so that you will come to the polls. This whole idea about, oh, it's the left-wing mobs, they're coming for you, is to get you to the polls. It works every fucking time. The Republican Party operates on fear. But again, I'm going to agree with both Holder and Hillary and saying, yes, we do have to be strong. And we have to be principled. I'm going to add that. Now, what I mean by principled is different from what Hillary Clinton means on principle. Right? I think we need to be principled and strong when it comes to policy issues like Medicare for all, free college, and, a living wage. These are things that Hillary Clinton has not been strong about. And let's be very, very clear on that. Okay? Very, very clear on being strong about policy, which is what I advocate for. We need to be strong in pushing a real progressive vision. And that's what I mean by fight back. Fight back against the bullshit, and also fight back by saying, here's our vision. Here's what we want to do when we get into power. Here's the kind of policies that I want to push. As a progressive, free college, Medicare for all, etc. Right? Now, again, these are things that Hillary Clinton is not strong about, and therefore she herself is a terrible messenger for this. And I'll also argue that Eric Holder is also a terrible messenger for this, right? Because really, in reality, Hillary Clinton hasn't been strong about anything except for maybe defending the banks and defending the status quo. But you see what they're doing on the right. For years and years, during the Obama administration, I've covered a lot of stories where the right wing does actual violent rhetoric that leads to actual violence. Right-wing domestic terror groups now in America have killed more Americans than terrorists. More than 9/11. Yet when Eric Holder says, we need to be tough and, not physically, not literally kick Republicans when they're down, the right flips out and they play the victim card. Because really, in reality, that's all they have. That is the playbook, man. Eric Holder has nothing to apologize for. And I'm going to add that, we should not be playing this on Republican terms. But of course, here we go. You've got Michelle Obama already out there saying, I disagree strongly with Eric Holder with those statements. And let me guess, there's going to be a lot of Democrats that follow the same mantra. So we're going to keep playing this civility bullshit while Republicans continue to politically punch us in the face. They have all the power, and they have no problem steamrolling the rest of the country when it comes to their policies that only help the rich and corporations. I say we hit back. I say we hit back hard. And what do I mean by that? Again, I don't mean anything physical. So go ahead and try to take me out of context, right-wingers. I fucking dare you, right? No, what I mean, we run ads on Republican hypocrisy and corruption. Definitely go after their corruption. And, of course, when you're talking local races, support of Donald Trump. Go after them when it comes to Kavanaugh and basically point out how Republicans don't believe sexual assault victims. That does not play very well with the American public. How Republicans don't believe that everybody should have health care. That healthcare, they don't believe that healthcare is a human right. They don't believe that people should be able to, go to college without graduating with a mountain of debt. They don't believe that people should be able to go to work and actually make enough to survive off that job. That's what they believe in. And it's time we start hitting them with that. With their own words, with their own statements, with their own policies. Ad after ad after ad. Hit them with the corruption. Hit them with the corruption. Because if it's one thing the American people can't stand, it is the massive corruption in Washington. Again, the swamp is still there, and it's bigger than ever. And it's enabled by these Republican politicians and by Donald Trump himself. It's about time we start hitting them on that and stop being so civil. We've got to be tough. Show up at their offices, do civil disobedience. Because if it's one thing that they cannot stand and don't know how to deal with, it's Democrats actually being tough for a change and holding them accountable for both their terrible votes and their terrible rhetoric. Let's go in and let's be strong. Okay. Moving on. All right. So President Trump is no longer the ratings powerhouse for Fox News that he used to be. And so Fox News, of course, is starting to not cover the president nearly as much as they used to. And Trump himself doesn't seem very happy about it. Now, according to Politico, during 3 Trump rallies last week, Fox News, instead of showing the whole rally, showed clips and highlights from his speeches, but stuck largely with its normal weekday primetime programming. On Saturday, when Fox Report Weekend and Justice with Judge Jeanine would ordinarily air, the network showed Trump's speech from Topeka in full, but on Tuesday, a rally in Council Bluffs, Iowa, was particularly hard to find. It was not aired live on any major network, and even C-SPAN cut away for other news. And on Wednesday night, as Trump took the stage in Pennsylvania, Fox News decided to keep its coverage on Hurricane Michael. So now, that's just a few examples of Fox News. Okay, we're going to cover this, and we're going to be selective. We're not going to cover all these rallies anymore. And there's a couple of good reasons why, and I'll get to that. But upon hearing that Fox News has been cutting away from those rallies, the White House decides, ooh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to look into it. We're going to look into it. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, let me get to that. So again, I mentioned it was a couple of reasons, right? But first, let me address how weird it is that the White House is looking into what a private corporation is covering, right? When it comes to their news, structuring its coverage of the president. The White House shouldn't have any say in how much Fox News covers the president of the United States. I mean, look, that's creepy, but it kind of proves what we've been saying all along, that Fox News is basically a propaganda arm of the Republican Party. And so, again, super strange. However, according to the Daily Beast, the White House says it's concerned, not just because, Trump is not getting the attention that he feels he deserves, but because they think that they're losing a key platform just before the midterms. Platform for what? Again, Donald Trump goes out there and he basically spits out word salad. And then, what, are we supposed to be fucking impressed? Are we supposed to actually pay attention? Because he says the same kind of stuff over and over again. It's nothing new. Nonetheless, they believe, no, we're having a big problem. In fact, a source close to Trump described the declining coverage as, quote, a huge loss in the state and local level for Republicans because they're certainly not going to get any of that on other cable networks. Well, to be fair, when it came to Democratic primaries, was MSNBC out there covering, local candidates that, where Bernie Sanders came to go and stump in favor of them? No, about the only people out there that were covering it was actually the Young Turks that were talking about these candidates. And look, I myself tried to cover, a couple of events during the Democratic primary here in Michigan. So most of the cable news doesn't do that for Democrats. The supposed liberal media doesn't do it for Democrats. So, and it doesn't surprise me that Fox News is not going to do it for Republicans. But they were trying, but it just doesn't seem to be as popular anymore. But anyway, now, Oh, that source continues. He says if they stop taking them completely, that might create a problem. And adds, Trump is a massive consumer of the media, so he may be disappointed. Oh, sad. Oh, Trump is disappointed. Oh, sad. Anyway. Thing is, he's not disappointed because, oh, we're losing a valuable platform for, getting out these candidates that I'm supporting because I support the ideology. No, Trump is disappointed because he's a narcissist who only cares about how much attention he gets. And look, if he's not getting attention, if Fox News is covering him less and his rallies less, well, then he's not happy. Now, the reason, of course, Fox News is doing this is because, as I said before, it's business. Trump, according to Politico, is no longer a sure bet to beat Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, or Laura Ingraham. For instance, on August 30th, Fox News' 8 p.m. hour was mostly consumed by Trump's rally in Evansville, Indiana, earning 2.5 million viewers, according to Nielsen, compared to the 2.8 million viewers Carlson averaged at the time during 2018's third quarter. So the Trump speeches are not getting as much traction as the people who basically fawn over Trump, those opinion shows, right? Now, in 2017, when Trump rallied much less frequently, his events at times popped for more than 4 million viewers on Fox News, a number he hasn't come close to in 2018. According to a Political assessment of Nielsen ratings, this year, numbers have typically ranged from 2.5 to 3.5 million per Nielsen, depending on a variety of factors, including daytime and whether there's something big on another channel. So, here's my whole thing on this. People are fucking tired of Trump. Even Fox News viewers are tired of Trump rallies. They're like, oh, this guy again? No, I actually want to listen to Hannity. Which, I guess, if you think that's better, I would probably rather take a drill to my head than listen to Hannity. But okay, great. But it does show that people are just tired of Donald Trump. Now, one person familiar with Fox News' decision-making basically says, in a nice way, yeah, you're kind of right. Trump is being overexposed. Quote, one reason could be the number of rallies. With so many, they don't want to give up so much primetime real estate. Okay, very, very nice way to put it. But Politico puts it a little bit differently. They said Trump's campaign speeches tend to follow a similar pattern. And this person said network officials fear that was too much repetition and that would lead to lower ratings. Quote, they're going with the route they think will give the best ratings performance. And in the end, that is not Donald Trump anymore. Compounding the issue, and going back to how this is business, Fox News also can't take commercial breaks while Trump is speaking, and he often rambles on, that's my word, for more than an hour, costing the network some of its best advertising slots. With so many rallies and little promise of a ratings boost, there's not much incentive for the network to clear airtime. When it comes down to it, look, Fox News is a corporation, they're a business, right? And business gotta make money. What do they make money on? They make money on advertisements. Now that it's, midterm season, there's a lot of money in those advertisements. So Fox News is going to be like, sorry, homeboy Trump, but we're going to cash in. We need to make some money. And not only that, but people are tired of you. Like our viewers, look, when you were running in 2017, you were doing less rallies, or you were running in 2016, I should say. And then after you won, people were like, Trump. Now, people are like, Trump. MAGA? I don't know. What else is on? Look, businesses are going to do what businesses are going to do. And so, how's Trump going to personally take that? Well, so far they say he's taking it well and understandable, but, and again, it is Donald Trump. You never know. So, and of course, a couple more reasons here real quick. Donald Trump's polling is disastrous. He's a deeply unpopular president. He's turned off a lot of people. So the only people that really are left are the diehards. And most of the diehards, let's be honest, are going to be at the rallies and not just watching them on TV. So let's be fair on that. Okay. I'm so incredibly fair. Like, you guys know. All right. Moving on. So again, those of you just joining us, we're literally live streaming from a cell phone. So the clips are going to look a lot better. So just letting you guys know that. We'll have the clips up later tonight. We've been having some technical problems with getting the actual recordings when we do the live stream. Something to do with our software update, because I wasn't having this problem before. Hopefully they iron it out soon so we can get back to actually having the normal, regular look for you guys. But anyway, that said, before I get too much further, I've got some super chats that I want to read here from you guys before we get into the next segment. So we'll do that. Let me just bring it up. Hold. Because it's got a lot, I've gotten a lot from you guys, so I do appreciate that. I want to thank you. LL says, as long as I can hear you, that's the most important thing. Hopefully the sound doesn't suck. Mark Ortiz asks, how's Jamie going to kill Mr. Michael Myers? Flint water? Well, it probably would work. Let's be fair. That's an excellent one. That's funny. Coffee Crow says, imagine their shock when they realize Matt Damon didn't actually use poop potatoes to survive on Mars. That's awesome. Thank you, Coffee Crow, for that. And yes, it is a pain dealing with tech problems. Tira says, no problem on the tech issues. Thank you for reporting. Thank you guys for tuning in, even though it's not our best stream. Let's see. And Platypie tweets in, 6 a.m. morning coffee and veg on toast you make once you wake up for Around the Nation with the amazing Jeff Waldorf. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. You guys are too good to me. So I appreciate it. I love you guys. All right. All right. Let's get into more stories. So we got some disaster. The Purge. So there are some elections that are happening in Georgia, and actually, let me start that again. So now Brian Kemp is the Republican running for Georgia's governorship, and he's running against former state representative Stacey Abrams. So now they're running in a very heated election, and Brian Kemp happens to also be, along with being a candidate, he's actually also in charge of elections in Georgia. So that has gotten him some criticism, especially considering that a lot of votes in areas that are Democratic among members of the African American community have suddenly been frozen. So there are a lot of allegations now of voter suppression going on in the state of Georgia. Now, according to NBC News, Kemp's office has canceled over 1.4 million registrations since the year 2012. Nearly 670,000 registrations were canceled in 2017 alone. So that is in the lead up to this election that will be happening, a very important election, that could end up having huge impacts on the state of Georgia. So now, these allegations, of course, of voter suppression, very serious. So immediately his campaign spokesman, Ryan Mahoney, puts out a statement and he says, oh, no. See, there's no voter suppression going on here in Georgia. In fact, Brian Kemp has actually made this much, much easier to vote in Georgia. In fact, they said it's never been easier to vote in our state. Why? Because we have online voter registration and a student engagement program. Quote, Kemp is fighting to protect the integrity of our elections and ensure only legal citizens can cast a ballot. So, okay. So, look, that's Republican spin on this. And I'm going to tell you why I think that's spin. Because along with some of those, yes, positive things, sure, online voter registration, that's great. As well as, student engagement. What you're doing, though, is basically using those positive programs as cover for what you're actually doing. And they point that out in saying, oh, no, we're trying to protect the integrity of our elections. From what? If you were to actually protect the integrity of your elections, you wouldn't be messing with the elections. You would actually be making sure that everybody can vote. That's not what they're doing. Because what they have is something called an exact match registration verification process. So that, along with the mass cancellation of supposedly inactive voter registrations, has led to about 53,000 voter registrations on hold sitting in Kemp's office right now. And as I said before, Kemp is in charge of voter registration, and he's also running for governor as a Republican. You want to guess whose registrations they've froze? Now, let me give you more context into this policy. According to the policy, information on voter applications must precisely match information on file with the Georgia Department of Driver Services or the Social Security Administration. Election officials can place non-matching applications on hold, and so they've got about 53,000 of them. Now, an application could be held because of an entry error or a dropped hyphen in a last name, for example. Now, that's the context. And if you're saying, okay, look, that's not bad. What are you talking about? That makes sense. Yes, you want to have things that are accurate, so it's got to match exactly. The problem is that according to an analysis of the records obtained by the Associated Press, there is a racial disparity that is at play in the process. Georgia's population is approximately 32% black, according to the U.S. Census. But the list of voters registrations on hold with Kemp's office is disproportionately black. So that is 70% of those held applications are from African Americans. Gee, I wonder if that qualifies as voter suppression. Now, Kemp's office blames the disparity not on, no, that's not voter suppression. No, we're not trying to suppress the votes from African Americans who will likely vote for my Democratic opponent, Stacey Abrams, and make sure that I lose the election. Oh, no, it's not any of that. No, you know whose fault it is? It's not our exact match system. It's how you registered. In fact, they're blaming Stacey Abrams for this. Kemp's office blamed the disparity on the New Georgia Project, a voter registration group founded by Stacey Abrams back in 2013. Kemp accuses the organization of being sloppy in registering voters and says it submitted inadequate forms for a batch of applicants that was predominantly black. So wait, so you're getting most of these 53,000, supposed inaccuracies from 70% of black people on Stacey Abrams? Wow. His office says that the New Georgia Project used primarily paper forms and did not adequately train canvassers to ensure legible, complete forms. Bullshit. His office says, oh no, our law applies equally across all demographic. But these numbers became skewed by the higher usage of one method of registration among one particular demographic group. Not my fault. Your fault. Now, anybody else think it's kind of shady that the guy running for governor, who controls the ballots, is making sure that people who will vote for his opponent are being suppressed? Oh, no, not at all shady. What are you talking about? The Honorable Brian Kemp would never do such a thing. Bull fucking shit. Bullshit. Look, here's the thing. So voters with pending status, right, or that are frozen and pending, can do something about it. They have 26 months to fix any issues before their application is canceled. But there is an election right away. How long will that take to process, I wonder? Oh, but don't worry. Even if it's still processing by the time the election rolls around, well, you can still cast a provisional ballot. Uh-oh. The problem with provisional ballots, of course, is that they don't always count. In fact, for the most part, provisional ballots tend to be the ones that get thrown out the most. So, this is, to me, I think this is a case of voter suppression. It'll be a little bit hard to prove, but from what I can tell right now, it's definitely a way to, again, block the vote through tricky means in order to make sure that he wins the election. These Republicans, they want to win, they want to hold on to power, they want to get power by hook or by crook, man. And that's exactly what this situation, to me, seems to indicate. Okay. All right. Let's do one more story here. Let's go to Bernie Sanders. I've been wanting to do this story for a while, and we'll keep Kavanaugh for tomorrow. All right. Bernie Sanders is looking to serve a little bit of justice with your meal. He is actually pressuring McDonald's to raise their minimum wage to a living wage of $15 an hour. Now, he said on Twitter, if McDonald's raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour and respected the constitutional rights of your workers to form a union, it would set an example for the entire fast food industry to follow. And this is a letter, of course, that was sent to the chief executive officer of the company, Steve Easterbrook. Now, this letter to Easterbrook follows news, of course, that Amazon will also be offering a $15 an hour minimum wage to more than 250,000 current employees. Now, look, that is a little bit of a bittersweet victory for me, because, like, on the one hand, sure, they got a raise, but with one hand they giveth, and the other hand they taketh away. So now they don't get stock options or the benefits they had before. Nonetheless, a little bit of a victory. You still had them raising the minimum wage, and that's ultimately a good thing. And so coming fresh off that, Bernie Sanders says, okay, here's what we do next. We fight for a living wage when it comes to the fast food industry. We're going to go after McDonald's. And I think that's great. Now, Sanders said in an interview with Bloomberg, I have zero doubt that other major corporations will follow suit to Amazon. He said that Walmart, Target, and the fast food industry, and airlines in particular, need to raise their pay. And look, so the federal minimum wage right now is $7.25. That itself is a starvation wage. Now, a lot of states don't actually pay that. A lot of states actually pay something a little bit better, somewhere around $8 an hour to $11 an hour. But generally, they usually pay their state's minimum wage for people who are working at McDonald's, working in fast food. So getting them to pay $15 an hour would be an enormous jump in pay, especially for people living in, rural Arkansas or Michigan. Not so much when it comes to places like, New York, San Francisco, and Seattle, those would actually have to see higher minimum wages of about $20 to $25 an hour in order to be an actual living wage. But nonetheless, this is a good start. So raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour, and index it to inflation. Now, something that also should be pointed out in this is that he is pushing for people to join a union. So he said, as I mentioned before, McDonald's should respect the constitutional rights of their workers to form a union. So this is, again, super, super important. This is something that didn't get mentioned at all in the Amazon fight as well. But Amazon should also form a union. These Amazon workers, fast food workers, should join a union. Why? Because that is really the only way that these wages are going to continue to be competitive, as well as being able to keep the benefits. It's not just raising the wage themselves that is going to solve the problems facing labor today. It is doing, obviously collective bargaining. We need to go back to the days of where we actually had unions, where we actually had strong labor unions in America. We do not have that today. I know there are people out there, oh, the unions, they're so terrible, they're so powerful. No, they're not. Union membership is at a record low when it comes to Americans. Record low. And you see how most of the money has flowed right to the top 1%, to the CEOs that are making 900% more than they did in previous decades. All these benefits and all this money has gone to the CEOs and not to the workers. What we need is to reverse that trend so that the workers actually can share in the productivity and success of the company. That's what a union is supposed to do. So I'm glad Bernie Sanders actually mentioned that in this. Now, here's McDonald's response. McDonald's said in an email that it provides opportunities for employees with world-class training and education programs to help them build the skills needed for today's workforce. The chain said it has allocated $150 million over 5 years for its tuition assistance program. These are the same companies, by the way, that lobby politicians to fight against not only the minimum wage, not only Medicare for all, but also free college. If we had universal, college, tuition-free education for public colleges and universities, which is what Bernie Sanders and the rest of the progressives are looking to do, then that tuition assistance wouldn't be necessary for McDonald's. Yet they lobby against all of these progressive politicians and all of these progressive policies. So that's the hypocrisy of McDonald's and a lot of these other gigantic corporations as well. So, look, yes, unions. We got to have unions. We got to have pay increases for the workers. So I applaud Bernie Sanders because he's pretty much the only person out there, politician, I should say, in office, maybe Ro Khanna as well, who gets a lot of credit in the Amazon thing. They're the only ones out there actually fighting. The progressives are actually fighting. Is Hillary Clinton fighting for a $15 minimum wage right now? No. No, she's saying how uncivil the Republicans are. That's true, but that doesn't help policy. That doesn't help push policy. So Sanders should get a lot of credit because not only is he traveling around the country to help politicians, he's coming, for example, to stump for Gretchen Whitmer here in Michigan and for other Democratic politicians. He's coming here to do that and going around the country to go and push for things like, what I talked about, Medicare for all, living wage, free college, etc. Nobody else is doing that, so I think he gets a lot of credit for doing that. So, okay. I think that's it. That's all I'm going to do here today. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get out of here for the day. Thank you guys for watching, for going around the nation. If you haven't already, please give us a like and share. We'll have some decent videos up today, much better quality than what you've seen on the live stream. Again, sorry about that. Hopefully, we'll be back to normal fairly soon. No more super chats, so that's good. Okay. Thank you guys for donating. Please consider going to our Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation. That helps us out, of course, greatly so. We need your help more than ever. Our YouTube has been crushed again. So I tweeted out some pictures last night of how few views we seem to be getting because we're not ending up in the suggested feed. So that is both crushing our channel on subscribers, view counts, as well as revenue. So we rely on you guys. So thank you. All right, guys. We're out of here. Love you guys. And remember, change begins with you. There we are. Good night, TYT Nation. See you guys tomorrow.